beauty of NFT is that you are able to own that piece of content. What that means is, you get a unique ID of that piece of content, okay, that gets registered in the blockchain, and then it is lifelong in your name, right? And then the other thing is you can sell it, resell it in the secondary market, right? So this is a new behavior altogether,
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Engatica's interview series. I'm your host Dinku Sagar and we are really glad to have you join us today. And today we have Sidarttha Bezbora, CEO and founder at VOAX. Welcome to the show, Siddhartha.
Thank you, Ringo.
Before we get started, a little bit about Engatica. So the Engatica interview series is a powerhouse of insights from industry experts and influencers from around the world. A platform that provides the latest news on AI, automation, and technologies that will help you grow your business. Come, be part of our community. Let's learn, share, and grow together. So let's dive into the questions, Siddhartha. So you are founded VOAX, right? So VOAX is a sports NFT platform for fans and collectors. Could you talk a bit about what VOAX does and what are few of the things that you solve there?
Sure. Uh, Great. So VOAX, we started last year, and before that, probably I'll give you a background of how we started VOAX, right? So I just exited an esports and gaming startup based out of Singapore, which got acquired by a leading gaming company, and then I moved back to India to start this particular venture, and so it started with sports. NFT was picking up. People were talking about NFTs and metaverses, and being 20 years in the industry across, esports, gaming, and commerce, fintech. And I was also a national level table tennis player. So, sports is in my blood. I have been following and a fan of multiple sports. So that is where, when we started looking at, what is happening in the NFT space, content was, I realized that content is the key to a key for any of these NFTs. And it will be driven by fans. And since coming from a gaming background, understood that, when we look at the sports ecosystem, if you look at the US, US has this whole fan ecosystem. The fan ecosystem are the ones who collects. That's where we said, like, okay, let's look at the sports, and that's when NBA Top Shot and a couple of other big platforms had already made inroads into the NFT ecosystem, and we picked sports as a genre because I love sports and followed multiple sports. This is when we launched this, we started as only video format NFTs. We started partnering with players, clubs, leagues, federations. We started talking to a lot of these guys, and we started onboarding a master content partner, and this content partner actually provided us with a lot of these video specific small short content, 30 seconds to 1 minute kind of content, which you can always find that content in YouTube. But with NFTs, what can happen is, like, you can collect it, right? The ownership comes in place. So we started with this, and then we moved towards creating a lot of 3D immersive content. We signed one of India's, leading cricketers who's an IPL player, Kedar Jadhav. And then we worked on him to launch his platform, launch his collectibles, and then after that we partnered with an NBA player. We partnered with top wrestling league of South America. We are bringing in another XFL league, and just to kind of announce, we just signed with one of the a new badminton league starting in India next month, and we are powering that. So idea is to focus on the fans and help them, and for the brands, we are trying to get them into the Web3 ecosystem by converting their content as Web3 content, NFT content, and then basically merging both the fans and also some of the collectors, because there's a cusp there where NFT collectors also comes in.
It's interesting how we can connect the NFTs with sports. I mean, this is one example, but NFTs could also be connected with other industries as well. So my next question is regarding the whole idea of collecting, right? So many people, when they first came about this NFTs, they were reluctant. They were pointing out, why do I have to pay money to get a picture of something which I could just freely get it online, right? So, but then the whole question of why did people pay millions of dollars to get the actual original piece of Mona Lisa's artwork versus just you can always Google the same picture and you will get that. So that whole idea of ownership is really interesting, and it looks like it did not start any time recently, right? We humans have been in this business of collecting items
True.
way back, long back in the history, like around 12,000 years ago. Our ancestors, when they gave up their nomadic lifestyle and settled down, they started this whole idea of collecting coins, metal pieces, stamps, etc. Right? So why do you think this humans have this unique behavior of collecting items? Like it's just pure, it's for the pure satisfaction of owning them. So what are your thoughts on this?
So, see, like you said, people like to collect, right? So
Right.
think about when we were young, when we used to go out, uh, for example, when you talk about sports, I like to follow a lot of these big clubs, right? Manchester United, I'm crazy about their t-shirts, jerseys, caps, so, and so it's inherently, it is there. But that whole collection thing, if you look at when we talk about NFTs, the actual collection mostly was happening more in the US market. India was still not there when it comes to that kind of collection, but slowly it is moving this side also. And the beauty about what NFT does is it kind of brings in the whole ownership piece to a collectible, right? Now the question is, you said, this image or this video, it is already there, right, in YouTube or any of these platforms, right? Why should somebody leave that and come here and collect it as an NFT? The reason is, if you go to YouTube, you watch videos, right? But you can never own that piece of content. With NFT, the beauty of NFT is that you are able to own that piece of content. What that means is, you get a unique ID of that piece of content, okay, that gets registered in the blockchain, and then it is lifelong in your name, right? And then the other thing is, you can sell it, resell it in the secondary market, right? So this is a new behavior altogether, you know. So just to give you another example of gaming, right? So in gaming, what happens? People have been collecting a lot of digital items, right? You think about Farmville, you talk about a lot of these games where you buy skins. Gamers are already used to, owning these kind of collectibles of collectible content, right? So with NFTs now, the whole ownership part has come in, and it has become more secure. And even from the content owner perspective, they are now getting the revenues, directly. So this has kind of brought in a new behavior altogether, and I think over a period of time, you will see everything becoming NFT. It's just a matter of time.
Right. I mean, I could relate to it because in my school days, I used to collect stamps, and then I had two
Yeah,
other friends,
absolutely.
yeah, right, who did the same thing. And then we used to trade, like I can give this country's stamp, which is
Correct.
in exchange for another stamp from a rare country, and we
True,
used to
true.
trade. And so, I mean, it is as if like all these things were already there, and then with the advent of blockchain and the decentralization, the whole thing we are trying to digitalize in a much more
True.
tech pro way, right? So
Yeah.
that's how I would see it. Another thing is, do you think the proportion of people collecting? You mentioned that US has a like the US audience have a much bigger interest in collecting compared to the Indian audience. Do you see that? What proportion of people actually uh, involved in this collecting activities, and do you see any trends there?
Yeah. So again, from our perspective, I mean, we've kind of scanned the whole market, and then we realized that while India is very slow when it comes to collecting, but now since it's NFT, now to collect an NFT, you need cryptocurrencies, right?
Mhm.
So that's a behavior, that is there right now, and because of regulatory reasons, people cannot now quickly go and collect. That mindset is uh,
Right.
it's very difficult to break, right? But at the same time, uh, platforms have kind of graduated to fiat currencies. That means now you can collect any of these NFTs in the with a credit card, with a currency. Now that whole Web2 experience is getting migrated to this. It is becoming a hybrid and merging into a better solution for, for from a payment perspective, because it is very important how you collect it, right? You don't want to get into nitty gritties of regulatory and stuff. People are conscious
Right.
about it, right? That's one. Secondly, big question is, why should I own this, right? Right. So why should I pay so much of money to buy a piece of video or buy a piece of image, buy a piece of anything, right? So in NFTs, what is happening now is it is being driven by utilities. So what utilities are basically what extra value you bring in that you should own it. In our marketing and in our e-commerce, we say like, you buy this, you get, let's say you spend 100 rupees and you get 1,000 rupees worth of valuable
Right.
content. Then you entice the user to buy it. Similarly, in NFTs also that is happening, right? With utilities, I'll give you an example. We are doing Kedar Jadhav drop. Okay, with Kedar Jadhav, what we are giving is we have 5 tires. We've created 5 tires because it kind of brings in that rarity element into each of these tires. And there we are giving, a Zoom call with Kedar Jadhav. We are giving a lunch with Kedar Jadhav. If you hold that particular NFT, if you hold his NFT, that is trying to hook the user, his fan base with this. Okay. Another thing that I want to tell you is that one is the fan base, the other is the flippers. Right now in NFTs, what is happening is a lot of these crypto guys are flipping. They're just buying at X price and trying to sell it at, XY price.
Right.
So these flippers are the ones who are majorly driving the whole NFT market right now. But over a period of time, more serious players, more fans, will get involved and they will start collecting once they find the whole the consumer journey easier. From
Right.
payments to collecting it to participate in different activities. Yeah.
Right. Right. I guess one of the reasons I think why the participation is still low compared to the massive population, right, is because of the fluctuation in the price. So there is this whole speculation happening on the whole crypto sector. And then if I buy something and tomorrow if the value goes to zero, and like uh, what would I do with that, right? So
Correct.
as it turns out, like as you said, most of the participation is coming either from the firm believers of the underlying technology. It's more tech savvy people, or like people
True.
who want to capitalize on the hype cycle, right?
True. True.
So as we progress, and then once this speculation part of it flattens out, smoothens out, and people value it just for the utility that it provides, maybe we could see more participation. Like, when do you think NFTs would become like a part of our day-to-day life, where you don't have to think about the speculative aspect of it and not the underlying technology blockchain out of it, and just you know uh,
So, you're absolutely right. What is happening is, from our perspective, also what we believe is that we believe in brand IPs, right?
mhm,
So if you have a brand, your belief will be slightly higher as compared to if it is not a brand, right? That's where we are only focusing on branded content. That means we are only partnering with brands who would have decent following, who, from secondary player to an, your primary player, right? So if you are able to give value, right, at the end of the day, if you are able to provide good utility and value, your users today, when the market is down, there are already sales happening with many
Mhm.
NFTs, right? It is happening, but these are mostly flippers who believe that, okay, I can encash this moment, and probably sell it at a later stage. But in our case, what we are trying to do is create this whole value proposition around these branded IPs. Okay,
Right.
so sooner or later, once you create these branded IPs, today I have at least 7 to 8 brands. When I say brands, these are players, clubs, leagues, federations. Uh, and when we are working closely with these brands directly. So, for example, Kedar Zadav, Kedar has almost 1.5 million followers on Instagram. Okay, now when we do a NFT drop of, let's say, only 200 pieces, and he goes and posts it on his fan base, so that 200, this is very rare because only 200 pieces, right?
Mhm.
Not many will get it. So, and if you hold this, any of this NFT, then tomorrow any new drop comes in or any value that we kind of do, any event, we will invite these holders to kind of come and uh, get a new NFT or be part of it, right?
Mhm.
So it's a strong opportunity to kind of uh, bring the brands close, to their consumers with this whole new Web3 ecosystem. And the underlying technology is really helping it. But again, from a use case perspective, we have to continuously think, what value we are giving continuously to that end user. Why should somebody follow this
Right.
particular brand, or why should they buy this NFT, right? So we are taking them to the metaverse also now. There's
Right.
so much of talk happening on metaverse. But again, overall from a time frame perspective, buying that NFT has to be very easy. Okay, so we are slightly going out away from the your crypto payment. We don't want to get into that hassle of regulatory and stuff. We want to make it simple. We are already introduced credit card payments and pay with your local currency. So that is easy, right? So once you get into it, flow is like a simple commerce flow. Again, we have kind of kept, right? I think it will take at least a couple of years. I think
Right.
when it will actually come into the mainstream, because a lot of other spaces from music to everyone is getting into NFTs now.
Right. I think the scarcity, right? Is it like
Yeah,
artificially created scarcity? Because if you think about, let's say, famous cricket players' T-shirt, and someone
yeah.
is collecting that, there's not like millions of T-shirts. It's just the T-shirt which originally he has used it, right? So, are we trying to create that artificial scarcity in
Absolutely,
the
yes.
blockchain so that it
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
lose its
So
value?
see, to drive NFT sales, you need that scarcity, but at the same time, we want to keep it, cost friendly, and we want more fans to collect it. If you go to
Right.
OpenSea today, any NFT you buy, minimum cost is $300.
Mhm.
Minimum cost to buy any
Right.
NFT. Why should you pay so much of money? And
Yeah.
because we are building a fan base kind of a thing, our ticket prices, we are looking at a much lower ticket prices. We want more fans to kind of collect, their favorite players. Be it a wearable jersey, be it a 3D collectible, whatever content we do.
Right. Right. I mean, very interesting to see how it all plays out in the future when more and more participants come to this. That brings us to the end of my questions. So, do you have any other thoughts that you want to share with your audience?
So yeah, I mean, from from a VOAX perspective, it has been a slightly tougher year for us because we have been going around, the consumer journey to, payment solutions. We wanted to kind of give a more gamified experience to our customers, our users. So that's where, see, I think initial signing up IPs were difficult, but we have managed to kind of get some very good IPs with us now. And this year we are targeting to have at least 50 brands, signed up into our platform. So we are hoping to quickly scale up. But again, few challenges, local regulatory plus KYC stuff plus your payments had kind of put us slightly in a slower this thing. But yeah, now we have kind of settled all these things. We'll soon see some of big launches coming up. We've already announced Kedar Jadav's press release. That sale is already on now. We've already made some sales in the that one. And the badminton league is something which we are working on right now. We've just signed them, and we're doing their ticketing plus NFT collectibles, and then we have a very big league in South America, which is equivalent to WWE, called NLL, National Lucha Libre. It's a Mexican wrestling league that we are doing. There are quite a few other interesting use cases that have come up. We have got an offer to kind of run a in-stadium NFT drop with some gamification in Israel. We are working on that right now. So our focus is, to focus on new use cases that we can bring in with NFTs, which is simple for fans and collectors to own. And of course, these are all metaverse ready, and these can be ported quickly to the metaverse.
Nice. Interesting use cases and interesting features coming soon, right? Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights with us. For more content, subscribe to engatica and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content from thought leaders from around the globe. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you with a new expert. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Thank you.